Volume 7. A flashback art shows the time when Rizel and Muzaka had met for the first time. Rizel was looking out from his window as usual when a sudden mysterious figure appeared right in front of him, asking if he was the noblesse. With Rizel's silence affirming his suspicion, Muzaka made his way into Rizel's room through the window and introduced himself. Rizel was quite puzzled as to the intruder's identity, but the intruder himself was even more puzzled to see the noblesse not knowing who he was. Muzaka decided they should settle just with names and Rizel gave him his. Their meeting was cut short by the presence of a visitor, and Rizel watched his sudden visitor leave through the window before Raskria appeared at the door. As she conveyed the summon of the noble lord and hastened to fulfill his orders, Rizel left through the window in an instant, leaving Raskria sitting in the room, clueless. The visit was repeated within a short interval as Muzaka came to Lucadonia representing his pack to meet with the Lord of Nobles. Rizel was gazing at the moonlit sky when Muzaka appeared through the same window. After a short explanation of his coming, Muzaka placed himself beside Rizel and the both of them gazed at the bright, full moon. Rizel was alone again when Muzaka left to visit the noble lord. But his peace was disturbed by Raskria, who had come to fulfill the lord's order. As she took a seat and asked Rizel to help her out, Rizel walked over to her and sat with a nod. The two of them remained clueless as to how long they need to sit like that. Raskria wondered whether they should just stay like that for the next 2 days like the previous time, while Rizel sat still without a single word until the task was accomplished. Rizel was visited again by the frequent intruder Muzaka, who had come after the heated discussion with his pack. Rizel remained silent as Muzaka walked lied down on a couch. As Rizel walked over to his werewolf counterpart, the latter started telling him the stories of different places far away and what they're like with a sudden excitement. Rizel was surprised to hear about the ice-covered forests and sand-covered lands. He gave away rare facial changes which amused Muzaka to reveal more with a chuckle. However, Rizel reverted to his old, silent way, and even expressed suspicion, and Muzaka had to struggle to convince his friend that he wasn't lying. A month had passed and Muzaka was still staying at Rizel's place. Sensing the presence of a visitor, Muzaka finally decided to leave and bade farewell to Rizel. When suddenly, he stopped to ask his friend what he does when he has to make a tough decision. Rizel commented that it took quite a while for that question to come out. Although Rizel deemed his method would not be helpful to Muzaka, he revealed it to his insisting friend. "I just do what I believe is right." Rizel stared out of the window as his friend left with a revitalized impression. His silence was intruded by Raskria once again, who entered to see that Muzaka had left. Rizel confirmed her suspicion with a simple nod and she took her leave as her task was complete. Rizel remained standing, looking at the closed door. His solitude is but for a short time as his one and only friend returns again, this time, having addressed the problem with his pack and learning of Rizel's reason for solitude. At present times, Rizel is once again back to normal school life. A sudden visit from Raskria, accompanied by Jejudal, stirs up commotion in the class. Rizel continues his usual stare out of the window until class starts, when he draws his desk near Raskria's and offers to share the book which will be needed in the class. After school time, the children take them to the PC Bang and Rizel is amazed, even blushes, at Raskria's talent in video games. As the children depart, Rizel takes Raskria to a rooftop, his favorite spot for city gazing, to show her the life and buzz of human world. Raskria realizes that this is where he truly belongs and returns to Lucadonia with Jejudal. A few days later, Rizel receives another visitor in the school, Muzaka. His friend being in the right state of mind and they have a decent chat after a long time. They recall the past events and Muzaka reminds Rizel that his objective has not yet changed, he will eliminate the human race. This leaves Rizel quite depressed for the coming days, an issue which the children speculate as the result of being heartbroken. Rizel has to step in a battle scenario once again to save the trio and the young nobles Regis and Rael, this time, from the clutches of the modified werewolves, Grui and Gaitan. However, before he could take any actions against them, Muzaka interrupts and takes matters to his own hands to suppress his kindred. Soon afterwards, Rizel is tipped off about the intended attack on Lucadonia. Rael's sudden awakening with a complete soul weapon causes further worry that something must have happened to Rujuk. The household is alarmed and Rizel and Frankenstein decide to check on the issue themselves. So, they set off for Lucadonia. On the way, Rizel picks up the trace of Rujuk on an islet near Lucadonia. They find battle traces all over and conclude it was not a fair fight where the clan leader met his demise. Rizel reminisces about the last time Rujuk had talked to him before taking leave from the house. Determined to avenge Rujuk's death, they continue onward and reach the shores of Lucadonia. Surprisingly, the barriers were breached before them and both Rizel and Frankenstein agree on one noble who could do it so easily, Legis. They then rush to their mansion where again, they face a shocking revelation: Rizel's mansion is destroyed. Rizel then sends Frankenstein to fight the enemies while he has something to check in the wreckage. He walks into a chamber with a coffer inside and realizes that the object that was supposed to be there is gone. Rizel remembers the time when he was given the responsibility to seal away the blood stone. Unfortunately, he has failed to protect it and the stone has fallen into wrong hands. Rizel then goes where Frankenstein has been fighting the traitors. He appears behind the traitors but his presence goes completely unacknowledged, due to Frankenstein's prank. After they notice him, all the traitors and werewolves are frozen to the bone. Rizel tells Raskria not to get involved as he considers it is his responsibility to protect the nobles. The werewolves desperately launch attacks on him but are subdued by Rizel's overwhelming power. Legis also proves to be no match for him. The enemies realize that the noblesse has not weakened as rumored. Legis then commands Edion to attack Rizel. She hesitates but obeys the order in a haphazard way, failing completely. Rizel overcomes Edion effortlessly. As the enemies fall one by one, Legis is left as the only one facing Rizel. He then brings out the blood stone. Rizel's tragic past regarding the stone is revealed through a flashback. Back then, civil war had broken out in Lucadonia. Piles of nobles' corpses lay scattered while two winged nobles hovered above them. Rizel was facing his own brother. His brother had intended to use the Bloodstone's powers and create a world where only nobles would reign. Rizel had to step in to put an end to it and ended up killing many nobles and even his own brother. After eons, he is facing the cursed stone again, this time, in the hands of Legis. Rizel watches as Legis fuses with the stone and harnesses great power. Rizel's blood field is nullified and he even receives injury from Legis' attack. However, Rizel holds the upper hand over the stone's power regardless of his physical condition. Legis then amps up by absorbing power from the nobles of Tradio clan, who were sent to an ancient site, and werewolves. Rizel is barely able to keep up with Legis and one of his wings gets torn off. The injury weakens him considerably. As he is about to receive a fatal blow, Edion blocks it in his stead and gets mortally wounded. Rizel is shocked to see her sacrifice herself for him and learns how she has been manipulated all these years by a drug from Legis. Enraged, Rizel wraps an arm around the mortally wounded Edion and uses his other arm to summon his most powerful attack, Blood Phoenix, and directs it towards Legis. The attack annihilates the enemy once and for all. While disintegrating, Legis curses Rizel and the other nobles for not using their power to rule the world, saying that their isolation will lead them to extinction one day. Ch 400 Rai Edion. Edion in Rai's arms during her last moments. Rizel then turns back to Edion, who is slowly disintegrating in his arms. He sheds tears as she gently caresses his face. Finding him crying, Edion says that she isn't worthy of his tears and thanks him. Rizel apologizes to Edion as she peacefully enters eternal sleep in the arms of the man she loved the most. Frankenstein arrives in the scene after finishing off Gradius and witnessed the tearful farewell. With all the traitors wiped out, Lucadonia finally gets to settle down. Rizel advises Rascria to ignore what the dead traitors had said and assures her that no matter how strong one is, they can't protect all. Rascria asks if he regrets killing the traitors as they were once most loyal to him and served him when he was alone for an extraordinarily long time. Rizel reminisces the good times he had with them and answers, regret. For someone like me, even that feeling is a luxury. At home, Rizel has closed himself off in his room. He is severely weakened due to the recent battle. He recalls the time the previous lord came to visit him at his mansion. The previous lord asks him various questions, trying to avoid the real reason for his visit. However, after not receiving any responses from Rizel, he talks to him about the reason he came to visit him. He reveals that he has decided it is time for him to go into eternal sleep. Rizel is shocked, as the previous lord continues to talk about the world and why he has decided to go into eternal sleep. His final words to Rizel are for him to allow himself to get caught up in the changes of this world, and when he finds the life that he has been looking for, to enjoy it.